Look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. And one of the things that I can just tell you as you think about your goals and dreams, all of us can say that it's possible. That if anybody at any point in time lived their dream, then it's possible that I can live mine. I made a mistake. I looked at my goals and dreams and my mind said, how will you do that? I went from my heart to my mind. And I stayed up there for 14 years. I can't bring those 14 years back. Those years are gone. Stop putting it off and procrastinating. How many ever thought about something you wanted to do and you procrastinated, you talked yourself out of it? There's a proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
This thing about your imagination, your imagination is actually real. Albert Einstein took the second half of my mother's favorite scripture. My mother's favorite scripture is, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It just means, really, that the pure essence of faith, it ain't nothing but hope. That's why you hear people keep hope alive. Because if you keep hope alive, there's a chance it can resonate in the faith. You remember when you was little and you was hoping you got a bike for Christmas? And you went downstairs and it was a bike under the Christmas tree? Remember that time you hoped you graduated from high school? Then remember you hoped you got a job? Ain't all y'all working? At one point in time, you're going to have to get smart now, people. After you become an adult, it shouldn't be hope no more. This ought to start turning into some faith. What's the matter with calling it faith? Quit hoping, man. Turn it into faith. Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. You got to ask God for something. Ask for something from God. You don't know how in the world you're going to get it.
The way you do it is by what you speak. When you verbalize that thought, you're giving it the right to come to pass. If you go around saying, the problem's too big, I'll never get well, you are agreeing with the wrong voice. You've got to get in agreement with God. The other voice may seem louder, but you can override it. You can take away all of its power by choosing the voice of faith. Maybe you're going to a job interview. One voice will tell you, you're not going to get it. You're wasting your time. These people are not going to like you. Another voice will say, you have the favor of God. You're blessed. You're confident. You have what it takes. But if you get up that morning, tell your spouse, I don't think I'm going to get this job. They're not going to like me. I'm not qualified. There's no use even going. You're being trapped by your words. You have to dig your heels in and say, I am not giving life to any more defeat. I am not speaking lack. I'm not speaking sickness. I'm not speaking mediocrity, not enough. I'm going to choose the voice of faith. It says I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm blessed, I'm favored, I am a victor, not a victim. This is what David did. When he faced Goliath, it looked impossible. All the odds were against him. If he would have verbalized his negative thoughts, that would have kept him from his destiny. Even though he was anointed to be king, those negative words would have kept him trapped in the shepherd's fields. He could have easily gone around saying, well, I know I'm supposed to face Goliath, but look at him. He's twice my size. He's got more experience, more equipment, more talent. I don't see how this is ever going to work out. You can talk yourself out of your destiny. Negative words can keep you from becoming who you were created to be. Don't fall into that trap. Quit calling in defeat. Quit talking about how it's not going to happen. You can pray in faith. Ask God to turn it around, to do the impossible, but then walk away and start talking about how you're not going to get well, how your child's never going to straighten up. Those negative words just canceled out that prayer. Well, Joel, I'm having this financial crisis. Prayed and asked God to help me, but I don't see how it's going to happen. No, zip that up. Father, you said you're Jehovah Jireh, the Lord my provider. Lord, you've done it for me in the past. I know you'll do it for me again in the future. Don't let your words trip you. Negative talk brings negative results. But when you speak faith, favor, victory, that's what allows God to do the impossible. David went out, stood before Goliath. He looked him in the eyes, said, you come against me with a sword and a shield, but I come against you in the name of the Lord God of Israel. This day I will defeat you and feed your head to the birds of the air. Notice he was prophesying victory. He may have felt fear, but he spoke faith. I can hear David as he's going out to face Goliath under his breath. I am well able. I am anointed. I am equipped. If God be for me, who dare be against me? Picked up that rock, put it in a slingshot, slung it. That rock brought Goliath tumbling down. When you face giants in life, when you face challenges, you have to do like David, prophesy your future. Say to that cancer, cancer, you are no match for me. I will defeat you. This addiction may be in my family for years, but this is a new day. The buck stops with me. I'm the difference maker. I am free. My child may have been off course for a long time, but I know it's only temporary. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Prophesy victory over your life. There was a man in the scripture named Zerubbabel. He faced a huge mountain, a big obstacle. But like David, he didn't talk about how impossible it was, how it was never going to work out. He said, who are you, O great mountain, that would stand before me? You shall become a mere molehill. He was prophesying his future. The mountain looked big, but he declared it would be flattened out. It would become a molehill. There's the principle. Don't talk about the mountain, talk to the mountain. Look at that mountain of debt. Tell it, you can't defeat me. You're coming down. I will lend and not borrow. My cup will run over. Whatever mountains you face in life, no matter how big they look, don't shrink back in fear. Don't be intimidated. Rise up in faith. Tell that mountain, you're coming down. Tell that sickness, you're temporary. Say to that loneliness, that addiction, that legal problem, who are you, O great mountain, to stand before me? In other words, don't you know who I am, a child of the Most High God? Haven't you read my birth certificate? My Father created the universe. He breathed life into me, crowned me with His favor, called me more than a conqueror. That means you can't defeat me. You can't hold me back. Mountain, you've got to come down. I will overcome this illness. I will break this addiction. I will pay my house off. I will see my family restored. I will accomplish my dreams. What am I saying? Prophesy victory. Prophesy breakthroughs. Prophesy what you're believing for. In the Old Testament, Ezekiel saw a vision. He had this dream of this valley filled with bones. Everywhere he looked, it's like a huge graveyard, acres and acres of bones, people that have died. Bones represent things in our life that look dead, situations that seem impossible, like they'll never change. And God told him to do something interesting. He said, Ezekiel, prophesy to these dead bones. Say to them, O you dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Ezekiel, in this vision, he started speaking to the bones, telling them to come back to life. He called forth skin, muscle, tissue. As he was talking, these bones started coming together, just like out of a movie, morphing back into a person. Finally, God told him to prophesy to the breath and call it forth. The scripture says, as he prophesied, breath came into those bodies and they stood up like a vast army. You may have things in your life that seem dead. Your health, business, a relationship. All you can see, so to speak, is that valley of dry bones. God is saying to you what He said to Ezekiel. It's not enough to just pray about it. You need to speak to it. Prophesy to those dead bones. Call in health. Call in abundance. Call in restoration. That child that's been off course, don't just pray about it, prophesy to him. Son, daughter, come back in. You will fulfill your destiny. You're struggling with an addiction, don't just pray about it, prophesy. I am free. Chains are broken off of me. This is a new day of victory. Get your checkbook out, prophesy to it. All it looks like are dead bones. Debt, lack, struggle. I prophesy to these dead bones. I will lend and not borrow. I am the head and not the tail. I am coming into overflow. Just like with Ezekiel, if you'll prophesy to the bones, God will resurrect what looked dead. He'll make things happen that you could never make happen. Psalm 2 says, I will declare a decree. A decree was something that was written down, like an official document. The psalmist was saying, there's something that's been written that I'm going to start speaking. You and I can do the same thing, declare a decree. You should write down your goals. Write down what you want to see happen in life. Any areas that you're struggling in, where you need to improve, write it down like it's already done. And then every day, declare that decree. Read over it a couple of times out loud.
I want you to imagine you're at the end of the road. And you know you're at the end of the road. Just imagine, all you can do is relive your life. I want you to imagine you're there and you go back and think, God, I wonder if we had moved there, what would have happened? And think, God, if I could only do it over again. I said, wouldn't that be terrible? Spend the last days of your life like that? Wouldn't it be better if you look back and say, wow, what a trip. When you lose it big enough that you can be accelerated. And then we did this, and what you're doing is laying there and you're reliving your whole life. Well, there's where the goals come in. That's where the purpose for life comes in. You gotta have a main purpose. You gotta have a purpose for life. And you've gotta have meaningful goals. They've gotta be meaningful. You're trading your life for it.
In immersive experiences. So a lot of us today, we live in this world which is like 10 minutes a day. Do it for 10 minutes a day, everything will be great. And that is great. There's nothing wrong with that. And meditation, mindfulness, all these habits are the same. The more you immerse yourself, the more you get an experience that stays with you, the more that you can live with that experience and keep going back to it for 10 minutes a day. So I really believe in immersive experiences. I love the 10-minute-a-day advice, but I also deeply believe in having a deep, immersive, absorbed experience that completely takes over your whole body, mind, and soul.
Biggest one I would say is never pick the easy road. Never. Never. And it always goes back to kind of the hero mentality. Never pick the easy road. Ever in your life. That is the one road that is doomed. It is doomed. You may achieve what you wanted, but you want the permanent fix. The permanent fix comes from the hard road. The hard road gives you permanent. The easy road gives you the quick fix. You will go back to where you started on the easy route. That hard route is so permanent that it ends up callousing you everywhere. Everywhere.
Have you come here to avoid life or to experience life? Experience life. All the different dimensions of what this life holds must happen to you, isn't it so? If you come to avoid life, if you feel insecure, that's what you will do. You will try to avoid life. When you're alive and try to avoid life, it will cause immense misery. When you're alive, you live. When you die, you die. Don't get up from the dead.
Visualization is a gift to your heart and your soul. It's a gift. Because if the idea is the seed, visualization is the fertilizer. It's the fertilizer. Because when your thoughts are connected with an emotion, see, you visualize yourself winning, and you would feel all the emotion that came with that. And all you're doing now is you're not chasing a foreign emotion. You know the feeling, and now you're just doing what's necessary to get back to that feeling in real time. And it's real important in the visualization. You can't see it over there. You have to see it right here. You got to feel it right here, like I am. It's all I am. I am. I am in my dream home. I am in my dream relationship. And then unpack what that looks like. But most importantly, unpack what it feels like. And when you have that emotion in this moment, all of a sudden you stir up something that I don't think will ever go back to sleep. It'll go, okay, let's go get that.
I have a philosophy that every moment, every precious nanosecond and moment is perfect. And so when I connect to the perfection of that moment, there's really nothing to do. It's to be aware and to allow, to surrender, but not to give up surrender, but to understand that, as we're talking right now, the oceans don't need any instruction what to do. The planets that are moving in their elliptical orbits around the sun don't need yours or my intervention. The universe, the Milky Way galaxy that's flowing through the universe at 1.5 million miles per hour doesn't need yours and my instruction. So that means that every moment is perfect. So I want to connect to the perfection of every single moment. Be aware of that every single moment.
So life is… There has never been a point, any time, there never will be, where everything is perfect. No such thing. Because life is a possibility. Because it's a possibility, it cannot be perfect. It doesn't matter what we do, there's still something more to do.
And the power of that, you can't overstate the power of that for individuals to get their life together. The individual is an unbelievably powerful force, and every single person who gets their act together a little bit has the capacity to spread that around. It's a chain reaction, and so it's a lovely thing to see.
Is that it's a mix of pain and pleasure. And that's what makes it so powerful. The idea of our mortality is obviously very painful, right? It could be more painful. But the idea of transforming that into something beautiful, into something enlightening, into something that kind of fills us with a much different spirit, which motivates us to get something done, which makes us appreciate what we can look at. We're alive and the sky is blue, and and all that. So mortality has this ability to sharpen our senses, to sharpen our appreciation of life, and that turns that pain into pleasure. But the pain and pleasure always go together. So underneath that kind of ecstatic feeling that you feel when you're aware that there's eternal time and that there are all these insanely wonderful things around the world, there's always going to be mixed with that tincture of pain about how I'm going to be gone and I won't be here to appreciate it. But that mix of the two emotions is what makes it so powerful and so insanely addictive, right? Because pure pleasure on its own can almost get monotonous.
The things that break your heart, if you choose, can open your heart. Fear, the world says fear is bad. Fear is only an opportunity for bravery training. We do make excuses because we are very good at self-deception. Because if we actually had to face the responsibility of playing with our bigness in the world, we'd have to let go of our addiction to our excuses and leave what's safe. And we'd have to actually leave the pain to go out to the possibility of pleasure and joy and greatness. And believe it or not, that frightens us.
I'm in the only profession there is no school for. You can't go to school for comedy. There's nothing available for comedy. You're either born this way or you're not. But you could go take lessons, and then, you just got to get around the scene out here. It's hard. It take a long. Young people, you just got to understand. It take a long time to make a lot of money. Quit thinking you finna just hit it. That's not how this works. It take a long time to make a lot of money. I just got this money summer before last. I'm 61 years old. I just got this money summer before last. Took me a long time, man. But there's joy in the process too. See, you got to enjoy the process. You got to be grateful when you're making $50,000. Then you got to be grateful when you get to $75,000. You got to be grateful at $80,000. A lot of people stay pissed off because they ain't a millionaire. But I got news for you. If you pissed off where you are right now, you'll never be a millionaire. You want me to tell you why? Because there is a principle of success that God requires our gratitude. The more you're grateful for, the more God will give you to be grateful for. Because see, God, He real smart. He got this system set up real smart. So you can immediately increase your life by being grateful. Instead of complaining about what's going on. Man, I got to go to work today. Man, I got these kids. See, you asked for all this though. Remember when you wanted a job? Remember when you wanted a baby? Remember when you wanted to get the new car? Well, the new car comes with some bills. Well, remember when you wanted to get to a bigger place? You got the bigger place. It costs more money. You know what I learned? You can't cry about what's on your plate when your whole goal was to eat. You can't, man. And the moment you start showing God more gratitude, He'll give you more stuff because He's such a fair God. What He do is He's not going to keep giving you stuff if what you got you can't handle already. So He ain't going to put no more on you than you can bear. So while you tripping about all you got to do, He said, well, let me quit giving him stuff to do because he already can't handle this here. You kill more blessings by not being grateful. That's the number one blessing blocker, lack of gratitude. That's the number one reason I have what I have, and that's the number one reason why I'm going to get more. Because I just stay grateful for what I have. And I'm busy, man. But over last year I was complaining a lot, and I couldn't understand why these few deals wasn't closing. I was on vacation this year. I was sitting on the boat, I was looking out over the water, and God just showed it to me. He said, well, Steve, you've been complaining a lot about your workload, about how much you got. I can't give you no more because I don't want to tax you. I don't want to overburden you. I came back, told my wife that. We finished up the vacation, I came back, I changed everything. I wake up every morning with nothing but gratitude, and I became more efficient. And I'm telling you right now, 2 of them deals, I signed one yesterday because I figured it out. The cool thing about it is, it don't take God a long time to bless you. He starts immediately, man. Listen to me, y'all. Wake up every day and start being grateful. Wake up every day. Don't check your phone first. Don't check your texts and messages. Wake up every morning and just start thanking him for just your life, your kids, your job, your house, your food, your clothes, your money, your car, your husband, your boyfriend. And then immediately after that, you'll have a better day. And then watch, he start giving you more stuff.
From testimonials and personal experience, we have enough information to conclude that it's possible to design and live an extraordinary life. I hope you will give that little phrase some consideration. And here's what's next. I hope you buy the idea. And what I want this weekend to be for you is the gathering of more ways and means to design and live for you an extraordinary life. I don't know how far you want to go. Here's the first essence of life, and that is self-preservation, to produce enough to take care of yourself. The instructions given right to the couple that left the Garden of Eden. One was to multiply. It's a lonely place with only 2 people. But here were the next instructions: to be fruitful. How fruitful, how productive should one be? And here's number 1, to produce enough to survive. To produce enough to take care of yourself. And self-care is important. If you're flying on an airplane, the flight attendant says if for some reason we run out of oxygen, these oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling, and if you have children with you, quickly take care of them, then take care of yourself. No. They say what? Put your mask on first, see to your survival first, then you'll be more capable of taking care of the survival of your children. Isn't that interesting? I was in business with Bob Cummings, the old movie star. We were in the health and nutrition business together back in the 60s, 61, 2, 3. Bob had an interesting saying. Here's what he said: I'll take care of me for you. Will you please take care of you for me? So the first challenge in life is to take care of yourself. It is to survive. But now what's next? Well, all alone, it's a lonely life. So let's say the man now chooses a partner. Now he must figure out how to produce enough for himself and his spouse, his wife, his partner. Someone says, well, why do that? Why not just take care of yourself? And the answer is, it's a very small life. It's a very limited life. We wouldn't call it flourishing. We wouldn't call it abundant. Just taking care of yourself. That is the first rule, but that's only the beginning. So the man gets married. Now he must produce enough for himself and for his wife. And here's the key phrase to make a note of: to live the higher life, a life of togetherness. The storyteller says, it seems even God didn't want to be alone. He created all of these angels. So to join with someone, now you must produce enough for yourself, for your partner. Now, is that it? And the answer is no. How about children? Let us have children. That's a unique experience. So now if the man has a wife and now he has children, here's the challenge: to produce enough for himself and his family. Now someone says, well, why take on all of that? Why not just take care of yourself? You could, yes, but you couldn't live this more extraordinary life without taking on the responsibility of having a partner, having some children, and live that kind of extraordinary life. So I think everybody would agree. Now, is that the end of it? No. Here's the next challenge: to produce more than you need for yourself and for your family. Someone says, well, now why start being ridiculous here? Yes, produce enough for yourself. Well, yes, if you want to get married, produce enough for yourself and for your spouse. Now with children, produce enough for your family, but why do more than that? And jot down the answer: to live a more extraordinary life. So now the man produces more than he needs for himself and for his children, so that he can be a person of benevolence, so that he can give and so that he can share. That's the more abundant, that's the more extraordinary life. To produce more than you need for yourself and for your children. Is that it? Let's take it a couple of more steps. How about producing much more than you need for yourself and for your family? Someone says, well, now you're off the scale. I mean, why work that hard? Why go that far? Why produce that much? Some would say, just take care of yourself. Some would say, just, get a partner and that's it, and then children and that's it. And be a bit benevolent and that's it. But why not go this next step and produce much more than you need for yourself and for your children?
Give yourself a chance to become all you can become and to accomplish all you can accomplish. Let me give you a Bible philosophy that teaches how to get whatever you want. Here's what it says: ask. That's it. Ask. Of all the important skills to learn in life, be sure to include the skill of asking. What does ask mean? Ask means, what do you want? And the complete formula is staggering. It says, ask and you will receive. Hey, we ought to look into that. The man says, yes, but you work where I work. By the time you struggle home, it's late. You've got to get a bite to eat, watch a little TV, and get to bed. You can't sit up half the night and ask. And this guy is behind on his bills. He's a good worker, hard worker, sincere, but you've got to do better than work hard and be sincere all of your life. You'll wind up broke and embarrassed. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good asker. Let me give you some key points on this asking and receiving, setting goals, asking of life. Here's part of the philosophy that helped me to change. First, asking starts the receiving process. Asking is like pushing a button, and all this machinery starts working, mental and emotional machinery. I don't even know how it works, but I do know it works. There are a lot of things you don't need to know how they work. Just work them. Some people are always studying the roots. Others are picking the fruit. It all depends on what end of it you want in on. So asking is the beginning of receiving. Second, receiving is not the problem. You don't have to work on receiving. It's automatic. So if receiving is not the problem, what is the problem? It's failing to ask. The man says, I see it now. I got up every day this year and hit it hard, but nowhere in my house is there a list of what I want from my life. Can you see? Good worker, poor asker. Third, receiving is like the ocean. There's plenty, especially in this country. It's like an ocean here. Here, success is not in short supply. It isn't rationed so that when you step up to the window, it's all gone. No. Well, if that's true, what is the problem? Well, the problem is some people go to the ocean with a teaspoon. Have you got the picture? A teaspoon. What I suggest you do in view of the size of the ocean is trade your teaspoon for at least a bucket, and you will look better at the ocean with a bucket. Kids won't make fun of you. Now, here's something else to remember about asking. There are two ways to ask. One is ask with intelligence. It didn't say ask intelligently, but I'm sure it meant that. Don't mumble. You won't get anything by mumbling. Be clear, be specific. Intelligent asking means how high, how long, how much, when, what size, what model, what color. Describe what you want. Define it. Remember, well-defined goals are like magnets. The better you define them, the stronger they pull. And give your goals purpose. Answer both questions. What do I want? That's the object. And the second question, what for? That's purpose. Purpose is stronger than object. What you want is powerful and it will pull, but what you want it for is more powerful. Here's the second way to ask. Ask with faith. Faith is the childish part. It means believe you can get what you want like a child, not an adult. Many adults are too skeptical. They've lost that wonderful childlike faith and trust. Don't let that happen to you. Believe in, have faith in yourself and your goals, and get excited like a child. Childlike enthusiasm. Nothing can beat it. Kids think they can do anything. How exciting. They hate to go to bed at night and can't wait to get up in the morning. Develop that kind of enthusiasm toward your life and your goals. And be curious like a child. Kids can ask 1,000 questions. Just when you think they're finished, they come up with 1,000 more. They'll drive you to the brink. But it's really a virtue. Have plenty of curiosity. Ask questions. That's how you learn.
So I got access. So I decided I'm going to go find a way to interview the 50 most influential, financial, brilliant minds on the face of the earth. Not people you read on the internet, not people on television screaming at you what to buy and telling you to go to some mythical mutual fund that gives you 12% every year and it doesn't exist, but the real guys and the real ladies that do it. But how are you going to do that? How? I'm going to call up to Tony Robbins. I'd kind of like to come interview you. You're worth $27 billion and I'd like your time. You have to engage people. So I'm going to show you some ways to do that. I'm going to tell you, when you can engage people, there is no limit to the resources you can access. If you want real wealth, wealth is access to resources. It doesn't have to own them all, just access to them all. You can do whatever you want, go wherever you want to go. That's real wealth. And you can do it if you can engage people. And engaging people is finding a way to meet their needs, not yours. If you meet their needs, your needs can be met as well. And it can be done in a way that has integrity and love and vision and creativity, and it can truly be a synergy. Now I'll give you some examples of it just for 2 seconds, then we're going to do some things that engage this so you get the sense of its value. One of the first people I called on was Carl Icahn. Carl Icahn is a very gentle soul. He's a man who has a hard time expressing his true feelings about things. Who knows who Carl Icahn is? So you go to his answer. He's worth $27 billion. He has made more money. In fact, on the cover of Time magazine, they called him the master of the universe because Kiplinger did a little study and found out Warren Buffett is not the most profitable person you could have invested with. Carl Icahn is. In the last 14 years, you would have made 1,600% with Carl Icahn. 75% overall in the S&P with the ups and downs, right? Net, I'm talking about after inflation. If you had invested with him in 1968 in his company, you'd have an average return of 31% for all these decades, doubling your money every 2.6 years. If you're with Warren Buffett, you get a mere 20%. This is an amazing guy. He agrees to the interview. I use every tool I got. I get there, and the first thing he does is he throws out my camera crew. Nope, I don't want this camera crew. I don't want this. I don't want the lights. I don't want this. Like, well, dude, you agreed. I don't care. I changed my mind. Get him the hell out of here. I'm master of the freaking universe. Don't you understand? Says, okay, no problem. Let's do the audio. My audio team goes, no audio. I said, what am I supposed to do? He goes, you got a pen? Come on, you got 10 minutes. 10 minutes? All my interviews are supposed to be 45 minutes. The average one went 3 hours. How? Engagement. I figured out how to engage these people, and I found something inside of them that really wanted to give. Not to me. They got what the mission was to other people. And I got them telling me things nobody tells them.
And every decision, that action, does it move me closer to being that man? Does it move you closer to being that woman? That's the barometer of how you think. That's the barometer of how you live your life. Does it move you closer to being that person you knew at some point you were capable of being? They knew you were capable. And if they weren't there, I promise you, God in heaven knows who you're capable of being. You were put here to do something great with your life. You were put here to win, man. You were put here to help other people, to contribute in little ways and big ways. You may not be world famous, worth $100 million, but there's a destiny you're supposed to fulfill. There's people you're supposed to help. There's a difference you're supposed to make. Your life, your way, special to you. Not mine, not jets, not houses, not cars. Your precious life, your beautiful life, your soul, your gifts, your difference. What if your destiny is to be that person I just described in someone else's life? You be the person who sees how great people are. You be the difference. You be the person who sees the difference. I want you to win. Winning is not hundreds of millions of dollars, but you should go get it. Winning is that when you meet that woman, meet that man, your identity. That's the great life. So you got to look at your life. The chapters are going by, aren't they? I don't know what chapter you're in, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but I can tell you the pages are turning in your life. Someone's keeping an inventory of your life. There's a movie being kept of your life. And let me tell you something. You ever go to the end of a movie? At the end of the movie, they put the leading characters on the screen, don't they? And then if you stay there long enough, you listen there long enough, they start running through the extras. Cab driver number 2, bouncer at the bar number 3. They don't even get names, do they? You know what I'm talking about, yes or no? You live your life for the main characters, not the extras. It's the extras of life who steal our destiny from us. It's their criticisms, their thoughts that they put in us. That negative voice you have is not yours. Someone put it there when you were little, probably. Live your life for the main characters of your life. The extras don't matter. The main characters are you and the close circle of people who love you. When David died yesterday, the text I've got on my phone is his wife and his 2 children were there with him when he passed. Those are the main character of his life. Those are the story of his life. And I'm part of the destiny of his life, that he saved my life. I'm real sure where he's going, and I'm real real sure when he gets there that he became the man he was born to be, because I know what he did in my life. And if he just did it just for me, he accomplished who he was here to be. So you have to accomplish who you're here to be. That's what I call maxing out your life. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I went long. I got emotional. I think you could probably feel that I mean this stuff. When I say I love you and I believe in you, I mean that as a brother. I do. I want you to win. I want you to give it your best. I want you to bend time. I want you to use your RAS. I want you to repurpose your mess. I want you to do all of it. I want you to work on your thermostat, right? I want you to be blissfully dissatisfied. I want you to do all of it. Anyway.
You don't have to knock yourself out with a shovel. You may be saving yourself from a stiff back or a heart attack. And all you had to do was wait. Patience. There's a type of person for whom everything is undertaken out of desire to achieve a goal. They prepare food in order to eat it, not just for the fun of being in the kitchen. They start a business in order to make money. They exercise in order to get in shape. I'm sure that some of these people are very successful, and they are certainly highly organized. But in my opinion, a person of truly strong character sees success as an adventure, not as a point with an estimated time of arrival. The latter approach to me is impatient thinking. Impatient thinking can lead a person into some very big mistakes. First of all, when you are always looking somewhere else, whether it's down the road or up toward the top of the mountain or off toward the left field fence, where you're hoping to hit that grand slam home run, when you're looking off in the distance like that, you often miss what's under your very own nose. That means the pleasure and fun of living which come in the here and now get overlooked for something that not only isn't here yet, but might never arrive. True patience is more than just a waiting game. Patience doesn't mean you sit around hoping for something to happen. Patience is not a passive quality. Sometimes patience can mean doing something else entirely, thinking about another venture, taking off in a different direction, while you give events a chance to run their course. All through his long career on the screen, John Wayne never felt he got the credit and recognition he deserved for his skills as an actor. Yes, his films were consistently successful at the box office, and even today, John Wayne is still the #1 favorite movie actor in the United States. But a big following among moviegoers didn't translate into critical esteem or the respect of his peers. That's what the Duke wanted, and he felt he deserved it too. Then in the last years of his life, he made a movie called True Grit, in which he played a drunken, one-eyed old U.S. Marshal named Rooster Cogburn. That portrayal got John Wayne the Oscar he'd been waiting 40 years for. It wasn't the kind of high and mighty hero role he'd played when he was young that finally got him his award, but it was a role that he'd waited for all his life, and he didn't even know it was coming. A colleague of mine told me this story. He was traveling cross-country on a speaking tour and found himself delayed in Chicago while changing planes. In the first-class traveler's lounge, he fell into conversation with a gentleman who actually looked a bit like John Wayne during his True Grit period. And he was a little surprised to learn this gentleman was actually from New York City. And there was another surprise. Despite his rough-hewn appearance, this fellow traveler proved to be extremely soft-spoken. His favorite pastime was playing chess. But as he talked about his experiences in the construction business in New York City, he also demonstrated that he carried a big stick. His company had developed some of the most important commercial real estate in Manhattan. As successful people always do when they encounter other successful individuals, my colleague asked him how he'd done it. Well, he said, after I got my engineering degree, I spent some years getting hands-on experience in construction. I didn't want to be supervising people in any jobs that I didn't know how to do myself. Later on, when I started putting together my own projects, I had to deal with some pretty tough streetwise operators. Cement company guys, building inspectors, trucking companies. But I never tried to pretend I was any kind of hard case myself. I used to tell them right up front, you play straight with me, and I'll play straight with you. I never tried to take advantage of anybody, but I never let anyone take advantage of me either. You see, I always was, and I still am, a great counter-puncher. Anybody who takes a shot at me in business had better make sure it's a good one, because I'm going to hit back hard. But it's like chess. You don't necessarily hit back right away. You have to be patient. You have to wait for the right moment. You have to let the other guy know, okay, you had your chance. Next time it's my turn. But you don't say that out loud. You don't say what you've got in mind, and you don't say when it might be coming. You just go on, polite and friendly as ever. You don't ever let on that you're waiting for an opening, but you rest assured that your chance will come. It's like any other investment. It takes patience. Patience is the key. Needless to say, those several hours between flights were both informative and enjoyable for my colleague, and we can all learn from this story. Don't concentrate on things you can't influence, like when the planes are going to take off. Instead, focus on things you can control. And when you meet somebody you can learn from, then learn everything you can while you've got the chance. You never know when you're going to come across a book or an article that will provide a piece of information that can transform your life.
I would go to real fancy, like Ritz-Carltons and stuff like that, because they had linen towels wrapped up in a basket. And I would take a bunch of them and run hot water on them, and I'd take them in the stall and shut the door, and I'd take my bag and I'd soap up. Then I would wait till the coast was clear, and I'd run out and get a bunch of more rags and soak them up and come out and wipe it off. Then I stand there and dry, put my clothes back on. That's how I bathe every other day, man. And so I was in there one time, and they had a convention in town. And when I got all the stuff, I soaked up. This convention let out, and men was just coming in the bathroom, and I couldn't go out, so I couldn't get the soap off. So I let the toilet seat down, and I'm sitting there, man. I just started crying. I said, man, I can't take it no more. I'm finna quit. I'm gonna go call my daddy, just ask him, can I come home, man? I can't do this no more. So before I called him, I called the answer machine, and I got a message. And it says, Steve Harvey, this is Chuck Sutton from Showtime at the Apollo. We saw a tape of you. If you would come to New York Sunday night, this was a Thursday, come to Sunday night, we're gonna put you on TV, Showtime at the Apollo. Put me on TV, that was my dream. But I had a problem. I had $25, and I couldn't get to New York. How was I gonna get to New York with $25? So I said, man, I went back in my car, and I'm crying again. I said, man, God, I finally get a shot to get on TV, and then I can't even go. I said, how could you do this to me? And I'm 30-something now, man. I've been waiting my whole life, and you get me here? So I said, man, let me call this machine back and just see if he said this Sunday. And I called it back, and it said, Steve, this is Chuck Sutton from Showtime at the Apollo. We saw a tape. We have an opening for you Sunday. If you could get here, give me a call, let me know. We'd love to put you on TV. So I got ready to hang up, and I heard, boop, you have another message. And I punched in the code, and the message says, Steve Harvey, this is Tom Sober from the Comedy Caravan. I don't know where you are now, but I have a gig available for you in Jacksonville, Florida, to pay you $150 Friday night. If you can make the gig, let me know. I'm in Pensacola.
I'm trying to tell you to hold on. Why? Because it's all coming together.
Yet, everybody wants to know how to get from $0 to $1 million or from 0 to 1 million followers fast. Everybody wants to get to a place. Very few are willing to sacrifice to get there.
Patience, the mental fortitude, the mental strength to keep on going when you have absolutely no physical evidence around you that is saying you can make it. Just keep going, and I promise you, man, one day your dream is going to be a reality.